Thanks. Welcome, everyone. This is Audra Agajanian with the Cadmus Group, and the presentation today focuses on the Portfolio Manager tool developed by EPA for its Energy Star program. Energy Star is a voluntary partnership program offered by EPA. There is no cost to join Energy Star or to use the Portfolio Manager tool. Becoming an Energy Star partner has many benefits. It is a proven program based on experiences of all of the partner organizations. Energy Star is a trusted brand that is recognized by most consumers. The Energy Star brand adds legitimacy to organizations that are aligned with it. The Energy Star framework and associated promotional materials can help you communicate your energy management plans and progress and secure support from your employees, management, and customers. The agenda for today's webinar has three main topics. We'll first spend about 10 minutes reviewing the background materials and then spend about 40 minutes doing a live demonstration of the Portfolio Manager tool. And then we'll have about 10 minutes for questions and answers. Please place any questions you have in the chat. First, I want to provide some background information on the potential energy and cost savings for water and wastewater treatment facilities. Water and wastewater treatment facilities account for about 3 to 4% of the national energy consumption. They produce more than 45 million tons of greenhouse gas emissions per year, and the largest energy consumers of municipal governments account for 30 to 40% of total energy consumed. Advanced treatment technologies also, such as membrane filtration, can be very energy intensive. Also, if you need to add a new treatment process to an existing facility, you may need to add a pumping step between processes, which will increase your energy usage. The term clean energy refers to energy sources that do not pollute the atmosphere when used, as opposed to oil and coal, which do pollute the atmosphere. There are many clean energy opportunities at water and wastewater treatment facilities. An energy management program can have three different elements: energy efficiency, energy recovery, and energy generation. These terms are used frequently and are often misunderstood, so at first I want to explain what they mean. Energy efficiency refers to reducing energy requirements while achieving the required energy output. In other words, using energy in an optimized manner. When you undertake a project to replace aging infrastructure, you can select new components that are more efficient than the older models, or you could choose to replace existing equipment before it reaches the end of its service life in order to install premium efficiency motors, better sensors for dissolved oxygen, or new controls that help you reduce energy usage. For example, a variable frequency drive can be installed to vary the frequency and voltage supplied to the electric motor so that you can optimize operating practices and reduce electrical usage. Energy recovery at wastewater facilities typically refers to recovering heat from wastewater effluent or capturing methane gas and reusing it. On-site clean power generation typically refers to solar or wind energy generation systems that are installed at your water and wastewater facility. And net zero energy is a term for facilities that produce as much power as they consume over the course of a year. One example of a net zero energy wastewater facility is the wastewater treatment plant in Gresham, Oregon. They reduced monthly energy bills from $50,000 to zero over the course of 10 years, from 2005 to 2015. First, they installed a biogas generator in 2005, and then solar panels in 2010. In 2012, they started accepting restaurant waste with high levels of fats, oils, and grease, and this doubled the production of biogas. The utility manager said their approach could be easily replicated by other systems and was no secret formula. The Energy Star program provides multiple pathways for you to either engage in energy efficiency efforts for the first time or improve your existing energy management program. You may want to use Energy Star materials to improve how you communicate with customers or to better track your progress in meeting internal goals. To get to the Energy Star website, you can just use the link in the slides or just type energystar.gov. This slide illustrates how the recommended approach to energy management is an iterative approach. The first step is to get senior management in your utility to make a commitment to the program. You cannot successfully implement an energy management program without management support for staffing and resources. And the next step is where a Portfolio Manager tool comes into play to establish a baseline of energy usage for your current operations through a process called benchmarking. In this step, you will also identify your goals for energy efficiency, reduction of greenhouse gas emissions, or energy cost savings. Then, after you have identified your goals, you need to develop an action plan which outlines the approach to meet each goal. After you implement the action plan and start meeting your goals, remember to take the time to recognize staff that have been instrumental to achieving these goals. After your initial action plan has been put into place, it is time to reassess your goals and perhaps develop new goals and start the process again. The benchmarking step to assess performance and set goals is where the portfolio manager tool comes into play. The portfolio manager tool is an energy benchmarking tool. Benchmarking involves monitoring or measuring various parameters to establish your current conditions. For an energy management program, the monitoring parameter or metric may be your current electrical usage or the dollar amount of your electric bill. By establishing the current condition, you can then compare or benchmark your improvements in an energy management by continuing to monitor electrical usage or the dollar amount of your electric bill or any other metric. Many studies have shown that benchmarking and tracking energy usage metrics are an important part of your energy management program. Two examples shown on this slide illustrate this point based on an EPA analysis of more than 30,000 buildings that tracked energy consumption in Portfolio Manager from 2008 to 2011. The graph on the top shows a 7% decrease in energy usage from 2008 to 2011. And the graph on the bottom shows a 6-point increase in the Energy Star performance score generated by Portfolio Manager for the same time period. These types of graphs can be used to communicate with your customers or your governing board to gain support for new capital improvement projects designed to further reduce energy cost. Also, when your staff sees how their hard work and ideas translate into cost savings, they will feel empowered and committed to future improvement efforts. The Portfolio Manager tool can be used to track energy and water usage over time. Plus, it can help you manage and track various waste streams and cost information. Similar to any other tool where you need to input data, the tool is only as valuable as the quality of your data. It is important to take time and necessary steps to ensure that you are using accurate and reliable data. This slide states that Portfolio Manager can be used to apply for Energy Star certification, but please know that this certification is only available for buildings and not for water and wastewater treatment plants. Portfolio Manager offers hundreds of different metrics, so you can select the metrics that are most meaningful to your facilities and your goals. For example, in the category of greenhouse gas emissions, there are several metrics available, including direct and indirect emissions, total emissions, and avoided emissions. Blake will be showing you later in this presentation how to use custom reports to summarize trends with various metrics that might be useful to most water and wastewater treatment plant operators and managers. For wastewater facilities, an energy performance scoring system is available in Portfolio Manager. After you enter the data into the tool, such as energy use and flow and basic data about your facility, you will get a performance score between 1 and 100. The scoring system for wastewater plants is based on national survey data collected under a Water Research Foundation project. Survey data were collected from a statistically representative sample of wastewater treatment plants in various sizes, types, and locations across the country. The survey data included information on flow volumes, treatment processes, influent and effluent quality using biochemical oxygen demand, as well as monthly energy use and cost data. After receiving the survey back from the wastewater utilities, the project team developed a regression model to predict energy use based on flow rate. The ratio of your specific energy use per flow rate to the predicted energy use per flow rate from the regression model gives you your performance score. This approach is similar to the approach used to develop the Energy Star performance scoring system for buildings. So the performance score is on a scale of 1 to 100. And if your plant achieves an energy performance score of 50, it performs better than 50% of all similar wastewater facilities nationwide. If you achieve an energy performance score of 75, your plant is performing better than 75% of similar wastewater facilities nationwide. EPA considered developing a performance score for drinking water systems, but there were too many variables in the original survey data, particularly related to drinking water distribution systems. Instead, users can compare their energy use per average daily flow to a national median value. There are many ways that you can assess energy performance using Portfolio Manager, and here is a list of some of the common performance metrics that are available in the tool. One important one is EUI, or energy use intensity. For water and wastewater treatment plants, this is energy used per unit of flow treated. For some programs measure energy use per pound of BOD removed. That's another common one, but when the survey was done to set up the score, researchers found that the energy use correlated more with flow in their data. This and the next slide mentions a couple of other performance metrics. You'll receive a copy of the slides at the end of the presentation today, so I won't read each and every one of these. Portfolio Manager has several reporting templates to help with your energy tracking at water and wastewater facilities. You can select a template based on who your audience would be for the report. The summary report for plant managers and mayors gives you an overview of energy costs, energy use, and greenhouse gas emissions and progress towards your goals. The standard report provides details on energy use intensity by fuel type, like electricity, natural gas, or fuel oil, and national average values to help operators identify energy efficiency opportunities. And then the evaluation report includes facility data and information about energy projects to help states and associations evaluate energy use at multiple plants, to identify opportunities for improvement, and to recognize achievements. Now we're ready to move on to the live demonstration of Portfolio Manager. I'll hand the screen over to my associate Blake Martin to walk you through the live demonstration.
Wonderful. Thank you, Audra. So, hello, everyone. My name is Blake Martin. I am with Cadmus Group and work in support of EPA's Energy Star program. I'll be doing the live demonstration and sharing my screen right now. Can everyone see that?
Yep.
Thank you. This will be going through how to benchmark wastewater treatment plant facilities. If you have any questions, please enter your questions in the chat. So, this is the EnergyStar.gov website. You can see there's lots of information on the website for residential customers. To get to Portfolio Manager, you could either use the search bar and type in EnergyStar.gov/benchmark, or you can come to commercial buildings and go to the benchmarking tab. Here, there's a lot of useful information regarding benchmarking, saving energy, and other useful resources, trainings and technical resources as well, similar to this webinar. For accessing Portfolio Manager, you can enter your username and password here. If you don't have a account currently, you'll need to register as a new user and create an account. So just to go through that briefly, here you'll be entering all the basic information for an account. For a username, for best practices purposes, I would suggest using your organization as the username if the account is for your organization. If it's a personal account, I'd use your name. So to go through that, you can just add all the information as needed. For the postal code in particular, I would suggest using the physical postal address for your plant just because it is used for energy use data, weather normalization purposes, as well as calculating greenhouse gas emissions for electricity use. And then provide basic information about your organization. You would go through and select the wastewater treatment plant option. And as for specifying whether someone can share and search for you in Portfolio Manager, that is definitely a good portion to mark yes, but Portfolio Manager never shares information without your permission, so you will just be connected to them. Then you select I'm not a robot and create my account. To activate your account, EPA will send you an email and you must click on the link in the email to verify your email address and make sure it's valid. But for the purposes of this webinar, I'll be logging into my account. Oops, apologies. Sorry about the delay on that. So in here, I would just like to run through the quick 5 tabs here at the top right. The accounting settings. This is information you would have entered when you created the account. The notifications. This is information from your connected contacts. If there is a notification here or in the Energy Star notifications, you'll notice this little red exclamation point. The Energy Star notifications are notes from the Energy Star program about Portfolio Manager, updates, and other information to come through that is relevant. The Contacts tab. This will take you to a page where a list will be shown where all your connections are located, and you can also add contacts there. Very similar to adding a Facebook friend, you just add them through Portfolio Manager and they will receive a notification. The Help tab, I'm going to go to this page in particular. This is where you can search for facts and frequently asked questions, go through the glossary and all their terms, providing technical references, as well as asking a question to the Energy Star team if needed. You can also sign up for trainings and view other webinars similar to this one as well. So to go back to our homepage, you can either click the Portfolio Manager logo up here or the My Portfolio tab here. This will be your account homepage. Here you can see that I have all of my properties listed. You'll likely start off with 0 properties and continually to add them depending on how many buildings you'll be adding. But for just a moment, I want to walk through the 4 main tabs that you will see on your own account. You will not see the admin and processing tabs here, but you will see the My Portfolio tab, which gives you an overview of your portfolio, how many properties you have, and a summary of the performance. The Sharing tab, if you've shared your property with someone else or someone else has shared a property with you, this will go on the Sharing tab. One important thing to note before sharing with someone, you do need to add them to your contact list, and you'll do that by using the link right up here in Contacts. For the Reporting tab here, this is how you'll view results and assess performance from using Portfolio Manager tool. You can use these standardized templates or create a custom template. I'll go more into this at the end of my portion of the session, but I just wanted to touch base on that. The Recognition tab is where you can apply and receive for an Energy Star recognition for your property. This does not apply to wastewater treatment plants or drinking water treatment plants because they are not eligible for Energy Star certification. So now we'll go back to the first tab, the My Portfolio tab here. And here on the left side, after you scroll down a little bit in the Manage My Portfolio or Manage Portfolio tab, you can transfer the ownership of the property if needed. So just to keep things up to date and make sure everyone knows their responsibilities, you can transfer the ownership if needed. There's also an option here for using Excel. There are links that will allow you to upload new data from Excel to Portfolio Manager. You generally use this if you were planning to upload years of data or download data from Portfolio Manager to Excel. And then there's also deleting properties from your account. Deleting a property is irreversible, so I would just be very conscious of when that does occur. And now we'll scroll back up to the My Portfolio tab, and we will begin adding our own new property. So here, we'll be selecting our property type. So what we'll do is we'll scroll down to where our subcategory will be utility, and we will be selecting our wastewater treatment plant for this presentation. For your property's buildings, one is what we'll be selecting today. Selecting a single building will generally be the way you'd want to go forth unless you are planning to benchmark different parts of your treatment plant separately. Today we'll be keeping it as a single property. For the property's construction status, we'll also be selecting test property just because this is a webinar presentation and don't want to affect the Portfolio Manager. So now I would also like to point out these tips along the side. These tips basically offer a step-by-step instruction of why the data you are inputting is important and what might pertain to it a little bit better. So portfolio manager is great when it comes to the steps and helping you through the process. But we will click get started. Here, this is where you will add basic property information. And I have already uploaded a example information just so everything is put together nicely and quickly. For country, we'll be doing United States just because that's where we are located, but you can benchmark from anywhere around the globe. Again, it's important to use the postal code of where your facility is located. For the year built, you will mark when the facility was made or the latest major renovation, so long as they don't have any energy use data prior to the renovation. For this example, we'll say that the facility was made in the year 2000. Gross floor area, although this is not typically used to assess energy performance for wastewater and wastewater treatment plants, gross floor area is a required system input for all properties in Portfolio Manager. So it should include all areas within the physical structures at the plant, including treatment plants, administration offices, stairways, hallways, and mechanical rooms. The gross floor area should not include any exterior portions of the facility, such as retention or settling ponds. It can be an estimate, but if it is an estimate, I would suggest going back and marking it as a temporary value and putting in the correct data when needed. For this example, we'll be saying our facility is 10,000 GFA. For irrigated area, we'll mark 0. For the occupancy, we'll be marking 100%. And as long as the plant is managed as it's supposed to be, you can enter 100% here. It's usually not an issue for an industrial plant, but if it is, you can just contact the Energy Star team using the Help tab. For standard IDs, if your community or local government has a BPS mandate, you can use the drop down here and select the community that you're associated with. And then you will enter the ID number provided by your government. If you're not sure what that ID number was, you can click this frequently asked questions page, and it'll take you there of a list of standard IDs that are available. For the do any of these apply to you, I would suggest that you select the My Properties Energy Consumption Includes Parking Areas. So Portfolio Manager can estimate the lighting energy use and take it out of the plant's overall EUI. To save time today, I won't be checking this box, but just so you're aware for the future. So we will click continue. So here in the basic information, this is all the information we had just input. If anything appears incorrect, then we can go back and edit it. But we'll scroll down here and look at the building use property types or building use. For this, anything that has a blue star here, this is a use detail that is used to calculate an Energy Star score. Again, wastewater treatment plants are not eligible for a Energy Star certification, so it's a little bit less relevant. But I'd also like to point out that anything that is highlighted in blue lettering, if you do hover over that, you'll get a definition for whatever the program is looking for. So you can also click on this for sometimes a longer definition, but if you are ever curious to what something is, that is where that'll be. For any of the use a default checkboxes, I would strongly suggest not using this, just because if you do select this default checkbox, they are the national average and overall will skew your results depending on the size of your plant. The gross floor area was input previously from the previous tab. Anything with a red asterisk will be required for Portfolio Manager. So for the plant design flow rate, we'll be marking that as 20 million gallons per day. We'll be selecting 20 million gallons per day just because that's typically what's used in the United States. Unless you're a smaller facility, you may use cubic meters per day, or if you're in Canada. For the average influent biological oxygen demand, we'll mark this as 300. For the average effluent biological oxygen demand, we'll mark that as 4. The fixed film trickle filtration process, we'll mark that for no today. And nutrient removal for nitrogen, phosphorus, or both, we'll mark that as yes. And now we will click add our property. So Portfolio Manager is great in terms of letting you know you've done something successfully. You'll always get a green text box when you've done something successfully, and then I'll often provide information on what it thinks that your next step could be. Before we go into the next step, I just wanted to go through and talk about the tabs of your current property. So here you can see the name of the property, and as we scroll down, you can see the summary tab. The summary tab provides an overview of the property and energy use data. You can see that there's currently no available data just because we haven't entered that information yet. The details tab here, this summarizes the data that you enter. You can use the action bars to correct mistakes. So here, after we've entered the data, we'll be able to edit the details. Here you can also update information, and it's important to update the information when your facility particularly goes under a renovation, because then you won't be editing previous information that would impact the EUI for your building. And we'll move on to the energy tab. This is where you can add and manage your energy and flow data from meters and enter your electric bills. We'll be coming back to this. The water tab, we won't be going very in depth to this today, but this is where you can manage your property's water use by adding water meter data and water bills. You can also use Portfolio Manager to track water use and plant and implement water conservation measures. For the waste and materials tab, this tab you can track 29 different types of waste and how each one is managed. The goals tab here, this one is optional. It is so you can set different targets for performance metrics, and the design tab is specific for design projects. So this will not be applicable for our example today. So for the next portion, I will go through and I will show you how to add a meter and meter data. So we will go back to our details tab in our wastewater treatment plant test, and we'll scroll down here to the plant flow rate meters. And over here on this blue text box, we'll click add a meter. For the example, and for the sake of simplicity for this presentation, we'll just be having one meter. The meter name is given, and the associated use, we will be keeping that as building use, and we'll click get started. So here, you can change the name of your meter if needed. If your facility uses something specific, you just will want to make sure that if you do have multiple meters, you will want to make sure you know which meters you're addressing. For the units, we'll be marking millions of gallons per day because that's what's used in general in the United States. And we'll say that our meter became active on the 1st of January, 2020. If your meter is not in use, you can uncheck this checkbox and mark when the meter became inactive. So that is important to note as well. And we will create our first flow meter. This will take us to where we can add our monthly flow entries. So you can do this manually. We can click here and you can add the start date, end date, and the usage manually if you'd like. Now, if you're planning to upload multiple years of data, I would recommend downloading this spreadsheet. This spreadsheet looks like this, and you will input all the data required in order to upload it to Portfolio Manager. Once you have all the data input here, I have made an example for us just for the sake of time. Once you have all the data input here, you can either save this document and select choose a file on Portfolio Manager and upload that document. Or what you can do is you can select all of your data, making sure not to select the title columns, drag and copy that data, and click the first text box and then just paste all of that into Portfolio Manager. So now you can see that we have a couple years worth of data. And as you input this information as well, I would just like to mention that there should be no gaps or overlap in this data. So going from month to month, there should be no overlap. And I'll touch base back on that in an example later. But we'll scroll down and we'll click continue now that our data has all been entered. So Portfolio Manager being and doing what it does, You can see that you get the green text box as well again, and saying your meters have been added, your entries have been added to your meters, excuse me. For the next step, we're going to be adding an energy meter. Because you can see on the details page, currently we still have NAs up here in our checkbox. So throughout Portfolio Manager, you can click on them and it will show you the information that is missing. But for now, we're going to go to our Energy tab. And here, I just want to say that Portfolio Manager enters energy data in 4 general steps. You'll be first adding energy meters, then we'll be providing meter information, and then we'll add data for the meters and configure the meters. So in other words, for configuring the meters, it's basically to identify which meters should be used to calculate energy metrics. So for the first step, we'll be adding a meter, very similar to how we did in a flow meter. And in this, the first step will be to identify your property's energy sources of your property's energy, excuse me. You can select as many of these as apply to your facility. And for this example, we're just going to go ahead and select electric, and we'll select purchase from the grid, and we'll keep it at 1 meter just for the sake of simplicity again. I would like to note that there are options for solar and wind here. Portfolio Manager tracks these as sources of energy at your facility. If you do generate your own power on site using biogas, you can select solar or wind to track how much energy you are producing. Right now, though, Portfolio Manager does not have a straightforward way to track the heat generated from cogen plants, just so you are aware. So now that we have the meters that we want to add selected, we will click Get Started. Here, you can adjust the meter name if needed. For best practices purposes, I would usually suggest to enter the unique meter ID that is provided by the utility company, just to keep things straight. For the units, we'll be selecting kilowatts because that is the standard in the United States. The date the meter became active, we'd say January 1st, 2020 again. And again, you can uncheck the box if your meter is not currently in use, and then you can mark the date inactive. For this purpose, our meter will be active. And then we'll click Create Meters. So here, again, very similar to the flow data entries that we did before, we can go through and we can click and add our entries manually. You'll notice here that there are a couple more different columns here to input information on. So I would suggest downloading the new single meter spreadsheet that associates itself to this meter. For this example, I've downloaded it previously already for us. So you can see that it's got a couple more added columns and different column names. So you would upload the information that is relevant here from your facility. So again, I've already created some dummy data for us just for the sake of time. So you'd go through again and copy this data or save the file. Go back to Portfolio Manager, click that first text box and just paste that data in. So again, now we have a couple years worth of data here. If you did want to upload it via the file, you could say choose a file and then upload the Excel document, and your data would be entered that way. If there are any errors, as you click continue, there would be a pop-up or a red text box, which I'll demonstrate later as well. So for now, we'll click continue. Here, the next step is to determine whether we would like to include this meter into our metric calculations. Considering this is the only meter we have for this property, we will add it for the total energy consumption for our building. In some cases, you may have sub-meters needed to monitor the energy use of specific equipment. So if you would like to track those, you can do so, but please make sure that the energy uses are included in your main meter and keep it excluded from other metric calculations. Otherwise, you will be double counting. So for this example, we're going to mark yes. And then we can scroll down and click Apply Selections. And we got another green text box from Portfolio Manager, congratulating us on our energy meters. Now we can see that we have an Energy Star score here. It's definitely on the lower end of what we would like it to be. We can also change the metric, the default metric of what we would like to show to better tailor whatever our needs are as a wastewater treatment facility. So we can adjust this, and in our case, we'll select weather normalized site EUI, and then we can scroll down and click select the metric, and then it'll show us the difference of how we compare to other wastewater treatment plant facilities. Now, I'm not going to create any water and or waste and materials meters today, but the steps are generally the same as that we just saw through the flow data and energy data that we had entered. For now, I'm going to go back to the summary page on our property. And here, just in the metrics summary, you can modify these metrics displayed in the summary and uncheck anything that is not relevant and select metrics that you think would be relevant to your property type. So you just change the metrics using this little edit button up here. For the metric summary, you can only select up to seven items. So we're going to go ahead and uncheck total waste and water use, just because we didn't input any data from that today. And we'll go to energy performance metrics, and we'll scroll down and select water, wastewater, weather normalized site EUI, and source EUI. And then we would just click apply that selection, and that data shows up down here, represented very nicely in our summary metrics. Another tip I would like to touch base on is if we do go back to the energy tab and we scroll down to our energy meter. Like I mentioned before, in Portfolio Manager, we cannot have any gaps or overlaps. So I'm just going to demonstrate and create an example for you of basically inserting a problem, so that way we can see how it functions when there is a problem. So here you can see your basic meter information. We're going to scroll down to the monthly entries, and we're just going to put show all years just for the sake of the example. And on, we'll say in June, we had our data entered as 07, 03, 21, 2020. So now you can see that there is overlap from this data entry from being the 7th or July 3rd with the next data entry of July 1st. So if we go down and save that, which is an incorrect problem, you'll notice we get this red text box. Portfolio Manager letting us know that we have 3 days of overlap, which is from July 1st to July 3rd. Now, if you do have multiple days of overlap, they will show up all as warnings here. You don't need to go searching for them if you have years of data. Portfolio Manager makes a nice text box right where you need to adjust and correct the data. Now, it's really important not to just go through and correct the date, but make sure and confirm with your utility bills of when that data is entered correctly. Another way to check this data is, I'm going to leave this incorrect for the time being, but let's go back to our property page. And Portfolio Manager does this wonderful thing of making a little red exclamation point if data is entered incorrectly. And we can go through and follow this little red exclamation point to where it could be incorrect. For now, though, we're going to go back to the summary page, and we're going to use a great tool called the Data Quality Checker. So if you scroll down on the summary page of your property, you can find the tool, the Data Quality Checker, and this will run a check for any 12-month time period to see if there are any possible errors found with data in your building. So we'll click check for possible errors. We'll select January 31st, and then for the year we know that there's an error that I had input. It was 2020. So we'll select that, and we'll run our checker. The checker is great because here it'll indicate whether the data is incomplete or missing, and will likely include at least some metrics that are not able to be calculated as a result. So here we have 3 problems where the data is incomplete or missing, and then the yellow exclamation point box is here. This is data that we have not input at all. So it's just suggesting of something we could do. One of our errors is for the electric grid meter, and as you go through these errors, you can select the blue text of where the error is and what it says to do. So we'll select electric grid meter here. This will take you to our electric grid, so the basic meter information. It'll let us know what the problem is in the red text box above as well again. For now, we can minimize our basic meter information and we can open up the monthly entries. And we can scroll down and we can see again, this just shows us where those errors are. So because we knew our data was correct before and I created this error, I can go back and I can adjust it to the correct information. Again, I would check with your utility to make sure that you are inputting the correct information. And then we'll just go down here, click Save Bills. And now we have our green text box again. And we can go back to our wastewater treatment plant property. You'll notice that the exclamation point is gone and everything seems to be in order. So lastly, for the last portion of the live demonstration, we'll go to the reporting tab. The reporting tab is put into 3 separate sections. The charts and graphs up here, the Energy Star performance documents, and the data requests and templates down here. So for charts and graphs, you can scroll through different options and you can create these different sections to get a sense of what you'd want to display from your building. Portfolio Manager does offer stock tables and graphs. So, oops, apologies. Here, so you can go through different possible reports of that Portfolio Manager already offers. I would also suggest refreshing your data and your metrics, as this will affect the graphs and charts, but for now I will not be doing that, just for the sake of any loading issues I would possibly have. But yes, so we'll go back to the reporting tab. And here in the Energy Star performance documents, if you were to select one of these, you can generate and download reports. You can download any of the reports, as many as you'd like. So you just have to check mark the ones you'd like. For now, we'll just say statement of energy performance. For the property, we know our property name was wastewater treatment plant test. So we would go down and select the one that is relevant. We'd want the current year, and because we only have energy data, we'll select energy. And then for the last part, we'd include any additional contacts. If they were already in your list, they would show up here, or you can add the contact here or within the contacts section here at the top as well. And then we would generate and download our report. So it would give us our report. So for now, we'll go back to the reporting tab again. And here, we'll select the data requests from others. Data requests from others, this is where certain governments will provide links. After you click the link, the data request will show up here. Once it is there, you will need to select the drop-down and edit the properties. So for instance, in this action bar, we could edit the properties we'd like to show, and then we could preview our response before we send it to the government. And then once we're ready, we would send the response. So that is the process to fulfilling a data request. For next, the My Reports and Templates. In this tab, you can create a new template here. And these are templates that are created to tailor to what your community wants. So for our template, we will do wastewater treatment plant test to keep things uniform. We'll stick with the current year and energy data since we only entered energy data, and we'll select our properties. You can select multiple properties. You can filter by your property depending on how you have things organized. For now, we're just going to go ahead and search for the property we just created, and we'll mark that one. For this portion too, it does appear that like you scroll down all the way, but just make sure that when you're ready to apply your selection, that you kind of come over here on the right and use the sidebar to apply the selection here. For selecting information and metrics, for this, you will only be able to select up to 50 items in maximum, but this will be everything that you would like to be included within your report. So for instance, for our wastewater treatment plant, we'd go to performance metrics, scroll down a little bit, and apply what we believe would be relevant to our facility. Excuse me. Once we've selected all the metrics that we'd like to apply, we would just click Apply Selection, and then we would save our template. So here you can see again, we get our green text box of your template has been successfully saved, and it gives us other options of what we might want to do in our next steps. And scrolling down, you can see that our wastewater treatment plant test is located right here. We can generate a new report using this template. We can edit the template in itself, or we can share this template or request data using this template from someone else as well. Moving on to the Energy Star reports. This is a list of default reports prepared by portfolio manager. At the moment, they're blank, but you can add your buildings to it and download a current report. Creating a new template is also very easy here. So it's the same method that you would go through creating the template for the previous process, and you would click Save Template. So that concludes the live demonstration portion of this webinar. So I will hand the controls back over to my partner, Audra, and she will finish things up. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Blake. Reminder to everyone, if you have any questions about what he went over or anything else, please go ahead and place them in the chat. There are some slides that we've added in here, this slide and the next several slides that are screenshots from Portfolio Manager. We have included them in the presentation for your reference so that when you receive the PDF of the presentation, you'll have them available and it might be able to help you walk through the steps. But since we've already introduced all these steps in the live demo, I'm going to skip through these slides for now and move ahead to a few case study examples. All right. I have 3 examples of data that I want to show you, and then we'll have our question and answer session. This graph shows data collected by EPA Region 1 through benchmarking. Each yellow bar represents a different wastewater treatment plant. The average daily flow in million gallons per day for each plant is shown on the x-axis, and the energy use is shown on the y-axis. The data show how wastewater treatment plants with even very similar daily flows can have very different energy use and costs. Because of that, another benchmarking approach that you can take is to just compare your current energy use with your historical data, rather than comparing with other facilities, which may have different treatment processes and energy requirements. Next, I'd like to present 2 case studies on energy efficiency projects at small wastewater facilities. This slide summarizes the first one, which is in Burlington, Vermont. The wastewater treatment plant has a design flow of 2 MGD and routinely treats approximately 1 million gallon per day. The original aeration system was powered by 3 75 horsepower multi-stage centrifugal blowers. In 2009, the city replaced one existing 75 horsepower blower with a 50 horsepower K turbo blower and a new luminescent dissolved oxygen probe for automated control. The project cost was $56,000, and the city received a rebate from the local electric company for $21,000, making the total project cost only $35,000. The new blower has easily met the plant's target DO concentration of 2.5 milligrams per liter with no operational problems. The chief operator reported that the new blower draws between 30 and 70% less energy than the original blower, and the estimated total energy savings of the new K turbo blower is 250,000 kilowatt hours. This translates to a cost savings of approximately $34,500 per year based on an average electricity rate of 13 cents per kilowatt hour and a simple payback of 1.6 years or 1 year considering the incentive. Our second case study is for the city of Bartlett, Tennessee, which has a 1 million gallon per day wastewater treatment plant, average daily flow, with secondary treatment utilizing 2 mechanically aerated oxidation ditches. Each of the aeration basins is equipped with 3 rotor aerators. Prior to the improvements, the oxidation ditch operated by using one aeration rotor running continuously and the second one during periods of peak flow, each at full speed. Under a demonstration program funded by the Tennessee Valley Authority, the city implemented optical dissolved oxygen sensor technology integrated with VFD speed control of the oxidation ditch rotor aerator. The DO control set point was set to 1.2 milligrams per liter, and the rotor speed was controlled based on the DO readings in the oxidation ditches relative to the set point. During the demo, one rotor in each basin reached full speed for only 20 to 30 minutes each day during the peak flow period, and the second rotor was not and had not ever been required to maintain the DO set point concentration. The new DO sensors and VFD controls were installed and commissioned for $13,500. That's $2,007 after installation. And the first year, 2008, energy consumption was reduced by 13%, and the peak demand was reduced by 39%. The resulting energy cost savings was $9,176 per year. That reflected a 22% savings. The payback for the project cost was 1.5 years. That is the end of our presentation. We will stop the recording at this time, and if you have any questions, we can now discuss them.